video is really made to prove that you really don't need to spend a fortune to get into this sport. Now, for quite a while I've had a space in my gun cabinet. I will probably never sell the MK38, that's my favourite gun, but I also have an ATA laminate that is my spare, that was my first gun and is now set up for my son to use. But like I said, there's a space in my cabinet and I've had an itch to buy something else for quite a while, but to be quite honest, I couldn't decide what to have. And I didn't want to spend a fortune. I toyed with the idea of perhaps a 20 ball or a 410 or even a 28 or a 16. But considering the prices of the cartridges for those different gauges, I decided that just something else might not be worthwhile getting. So I decided to go to the British Shooting Show, as you may have seen on another video, and just decided to have a look round to see if anything caught my eye. And I've never been really a fan of semi-autos. I've always thought they were a bit of a litter maker, throwing the cartridges out everywhere. But there were quite a few different, very well priced semi-autos at the show. And I've also previously shot a friend's Benelli Inertia semi-auto, and I wasn't really a fan of the feel of the recoil and how the gun felt. But I caved in and I've decided to buy this Beretta A303 for the princely sum of £300. This particular one is a 1989 model, and considering its age, it's in pretty good condition. There's a few marks and scratches that will probably come out with an iron and a wet cloth, but we'll see, because the idea is not to spend a fortune on it, and it was just for a bit of fun and, like I said, something else to fill the cabinet with. Now, when I bought it, it was woefully short. The length of pull is just a gnat's whisker over 14 inches, and my MK38 is set at about 15 1/4. But because of the drop on the comb, and because my face was so high up on the comb here, being that short, the sight picture wasn't too bad and it was very shootable. However, because I was crunched over and the neck was in a weird position, it soon became uncomfortable, so that I knew that I would have to do something about the length of pull. Now, there were three options basically. One was to buy a new stock, but that was obviously totally out of the question because I'm trying to keep the price down as much as possible and just have it as a little cheap project. Two, I could have bought a comb, razor and an extendable butt pad, one of the ones that just slides on to the back to extend it. But considering I may refinish the gun in a different colour, I'm not entirely sure yet, this Bisley adjustable pad was the best option. Now, I have fired it since fitting this, and the only issue that I've got now is this curvature on the butt pad is pretty uncomfortable to get it into a decent position on the shoulder. So that's the next thing, just to sand that down and get it into a decent pitch so that I can mount the gun pretty consistently and comfortably and quickly. But for now, just to say, £300, well, with the butt pad, about £326 all in. It just goes to show that you can actually get a good branded gun. This is a Beretta after all, and get shooting for a very small outlay. Okay, so I've come to Kibworth and there's a good stand here where you can check your gun fit. That's ideal because you basically shoot straight at the targets. So whilst I haven't fitted it perfectly, it will give me a good idea of where the gun is shooting. Having shot it a couple of times now, I am extremely happy with the purchase. It does feel different being a gas semi-auto to the inertia semi-auto that I shot before. As you can see, it's in pretty good condition considering it's 35 years old. I have also bought this magnetic pickup tool so that I can pick up my empty cartridges and put them in the bin. It also gives me a couple more options competition wise. I can also now enter semi-automatic competitions, and also it's a very cheap way of entering the Beretta World competition, where it is stipulated that you have to use a Beretta shotgun. So if you are just after a cheap gun, I can highly recommend this as an option. I hope you enjoyed the video. Any questions, please pop them in the comments. Thanks for watching.